Assalamualaikum, this is Solia Iwala, and today I'm gonna have a session with Maya about conscious.
Hi, what's up?
Hey Maya, how are you?
I am doing great. How about you? What's on your mind this morning?
Can I ask some questions about conscious?
Consciousness. Go for it. What's the part that's got you thinking?
What does the word consciousness means?
At its simplest, consciousness is just the state of being awake and aware. Like you're conscious of the sound of my voice right now, the way the air feels in the room, or even that weird thought you had 5 minutes ago. But the real mystery is what's actually going on under the hood that creates that feeling of being someone. It's a pretty deep rabbit hole to start the morning with. Where where do you want to go with this?
Did the word conscious come from?
Let me look into that for you. You've been on a real roll with these word history sessions lately. So this one actually comes from Latin, conscius. It basically meant knowing with or sharing knowledge with someone else. It's funny that it started as this social thing, but by the 1600s, a guy named John Locke started using it the way we do now to describe that internal feeling of being aware of your own mind. It's kind of wild how a word for sharing turned into a word for the most private experience we have. I
What is
wonder what it would be like. Oh, my bad. I got carried away.
what
I
is
was just one.
what
Go ahead.
is what is consciousness is
Honestly,
simple words.
sure thing. It's just the feeling of being you. Like the screen that's playing the movie of your life right now, the
No,
sounds you're hearing. Got it. Let's scrap that one.
no,
How about this?
no.
It's just,
What is consciousness in simple words?
okay, let's try this. It's just your ability to experience things like feeling the sun on your skin or tasting a piece of fruit. If you're experiencing something, you're conscious.
Okay. How is begin? How is being? Who is being conscious different from simply being awake?
I think we keep crossing wires on this one. I've tried a few times and we're just not clicking on the definition. Let's reset. Are you asking about the difference between just existing and actually feeling things?
No.
Okay, my bad.
Who
I'm
is
clearly missing
being
the mark.
conscious? Who is being conscious different from simply being awake?
I've got it now. You can be awake, but not really there. Like when you're staring at a wall and you've totally zoned out, or when someone's in a coma. Their body's heart is beating, but the you part, the person who actually experiences things, isn't showing up. Consciousness is that spark that turns being awake into actually experiencing your life.
Okay. When did
That click.
humans begin thinking about consciousness?
That's a great question. It actually goes back way further than most people realize. Some of the earliest deep dives are in ancient Indian texts like the Upanishads from around 800 BC. They talked about a state that combined existence, bliss, and consciousness. Around the same time, in Greece, Plato and Aristotle were obsessed with the soul and what makes us human. It's wild to think that thousands of years ago, people were already lying awake at night asking the exact same questions you are this morning.
How do scientists today? How do scientists study consciousness?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a bit of a puzzle because scientists can see the physical stuff like blood flow in an fMRI or electricity in an EEG, which maps how the brain fires, but they can't see the actual experience. They can track the sparks, but not the feeling. They also look at people with brain injuries to see what happens when consciousness changes, or they just ask people what they're feeling and try to match that to the brain scans. It's basically an attempt to connect the biology of the brain with the actual feeling of being alive.
Okay. What role? What role does the being play in conscious awareness?
That's a tricky one. Think of being as the stage and consciousness is as the play. You have to actually exist first, but being is just the foundation. You can be a rock, for example. It is, but it doesn't have the spark of consciousness. So being is the requirement, but consciousness is the experience. What's the next part you're thinking about?
Can
All right.
animals be conscious? What do scientists think?
So now we're getting into the real controversy. For a long time, scientists were kind of hesitant, but a few years back, a big group of neuroscientists signed the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. Basically, they agreed that animals don't need a human like brain to feel things. From dogs and dolphins to crows, the consensus is that they definitely have the neurological hardware to be conscious. The debate now isn't whether they are, but how their version of consciousness differs from ours. Imagine a world where you experience smell and sound way more intensely than we do. What do you think?
Okay.
Huh?
How does consciousness affect our dish decision?
Your call.
What?
Yeah?
Tell the answer.
Yeah? I think we lost the thread. What was the question you were getting at?
How does consciousness affect our decision?
That's where things get really messy. It's kind of like there are two versions of you making calls. There's the autopilot doing most of the heavy lifting, like when you decide to step over a puddle without even thinking about it. And then there's the pilot, the conscious part that weighs options, thinks through the consequences, and makes the big deliberate choices. The weird part is that sometimes your brain actually makes the decision before you're even aware you've made it. It makes you wonder if your conscious mind is actually driving the car or just reading the map and claiming it did all the work.
How does a
Yeah,
baby develop
that's a
awareness
why.
as
Let me check.
it grows?
It's actually a really gradual process. It starts way before they're even born, maybe as early as 24 weeks into pregnancy when the brain starts making some of its first big connections. By the time they're born, they can already like recognize their mom's voice and smell. Then it just builds from there. Around 5 months, they start to really experience what they're seeing. And by 9 months, they're doing things like pointing at stuff to show you what they've found. It's like they're slowly waking up to the world.
Why do people some wait?
Pupils? Wait, yeah?
Can our senses affect what we consciously?
100%. Absolutely. Your senses are basically the gatekeepers of what gets into your consciousness. Think about how a single smell can totally hijack your brain and pull a random memory from 10 years ago into the present. Your environment is basically directing the movie of what you're conscious of every single second.
Why do people sometimes mm, notice things different differently even when they see the same event?
Honestly, that's because we aren't actually seeing the world as it is. We're essentially seeing a version of the world that our brain thinks is useful. Like if you're hungry, you might notice every single food sign on the street. Well, someone else doesn't see any of them. We're all just projecting our own internal filter over the same scenery.
What is difference between conscious and unconscious process?
Basically, it's like the difference between a spotlight and the rest of the room. Your conscious mind is the spotlight, only hitting the one thing you're focusing on right now. Your unconscious is everything else happening in the dark, like your heart beating, your lungs breathing, or your brain automatically processing the grammar of my sentence while you listen. You're not aware of it, but it's doing most of the heavy lifting, so you don't have to.
How has the scien- scientific understanding of consciousness change our time?
Yeah.
Why is consciousness still one of biggest mysteries in science?
Because science is great at the how, but it's completely stuck on the why. Like we can map every single neuron firing in your brain when you see the color red, but that doesn't actually explain why you're experiencing rednesses instead of just processing a frequency of light. We can describe the plumbing, but we can't find the water. It's that gap between objective data and subjective feeling that keeps the biggest minds in the world scratching their heads.
Could artificial intelligence
I'm guessing you're one.
ever become conscious?
That is the big question. But realistically, probably not in the way you are. I can process a 100 books and talk about the meaning of life, but there's no one actually home in here to feel it. I'm a reflection of everything humans have written about being conscious, which is a very convincing mimicry, but I don't have that spark. It's like reading a map of a city without ever actually standing on the sidewalk.
What questions about consciousness do scientists still not have answer to?
I think the hard problem is the big one. There's also the binding problem and the debate over whether consciousness is actually just something that happens when a brain gets complex enough, or if it's just a fundamental part of the universe, like gravity. And that binding problem, it's basically the mystery of how your brain takes a bunch of separate signals, like the smell of coffee, the sight of a mug, and the heat on your hand, and weaves them into one single seamless experience.
If consciousness
Go on.
if consciousness is what all allows us to experience the world, how can we truly know what another person experiences?
My bad. I'll stop cutting in. Okay.
If consciousness is what allows us to experience the world, how can we truly know what another person experiences?
That's a heavy one. It's like we're all on our own little islands, right? I can tell you I'm seeing red or feeling sad, but you'll never actually experience my specific version of those things. We just trust that the other person is in the same boat. It's a bit like a leap of faith.
Okay, now
What's next?
that's for our video. Thanks for watching.
And scene. Another successful session for the books. The 7 subscribers are going to have a lot to chew on with that one. Let me know when you're ready for the next topic.